He said, yo, and you know he shot Tupac, right? And I said, what? He didn't know Tupac was my cousin. He didn't know that. Not many people in Rikers Island knew it at the time.
Right.
But he said, Tupac, you know, he shot Tupac. I was like, word?
They mad cause I'm the gatekeeper. Disrespect the king, need the grim reaper.
Hey, I'm so excited today, honey.
That's why I'm excited also.
Listen, guys, in case you was living under a rock and you haven't heard the infamous interview with my husband, myself, I conducted the interview where he was discussing his involvement in the incident 1994 quad shooting that the legendary Tupac Shakur was the victim of. Then I have to bring you up to speed. Make sure you check out that interview. But inside of the interview, where he finally spoke about how he felt about the whole incident and his innocence in the involvement of it, I offered Tupac's cousin an opportunity to come on the show. And God is good. He's on the show. We're not physically together, but we're going to do our first Zoom.
Yes.
It's our first Zoom, so I hope it goes well. And he blessed us with his presence. And also, he had did another platform where he spoke about the incident after we did the interview, and he had offered King TuT an apology. And I thought that was so, I salute him for that, because that was awesome. But now he's on.
It's so manly.
He's a man. Now he's on our platform, and I want to introduce you guys to Mr. William Lesane, Tupac Shakur's cousin, an entrepreneur, amongst other things, and a New York resident. Our brother, right now, because we family now, because you did the right thing, man, because I'm just so happy that all of this is just on the table right now. But thank you for joining us.
Man, thank you for having me. First, I want to thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Thank you.
You're so good at what you do. You was born for this.
Thank you.
Literally, you was born for this. You deliver great content, talk to the people well. I appreciate being on your show. I always wanted to be on this show because I wanted to, there's no other place for us to disclose information and share information and go over the chain of events that occurred. There's no other place better to do that than your show. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Thank you.
The man sitting right there. You feel me? There's no better way to get to the bottom of this, man, and to let the people know, you know, the context and everything of how it transpired for us to be now culminated to this point right now, where everything culminated to where now we're sitting at this point right now, which I think is absolutely dope.
3 decades later.
3 decades, can you believe it?
Yeah.
3 decades later.
Yes.
But my history with him, with TuT, goes back 4 decades. You know? The streets of New York.
That's right.
Early 1980s. You know, we were both in the mix.
That's right.
You know, I was in the street, he was in the street. Difference with him was that, you know, back in those days in New York City, if you had a name, people in the street knew that name.
Okay.
If you was a street person and you had any kind of name or reputation, other street people can relate to who that person was. Not so much people who were in the street. People who were in the street, who were grinding, who were hustling, we knew who he was. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Who was who. And that's how I came to know about him, about TuT. Ever since 1981 or 1982. Because I was in the street, I was hustling, I was grinding, and his name will always pop up in the circles that I was in.
Let me ask you a question. You're from the Bronx?
I'm from the Bronx. I'm from the Boogie.
You're from the Boogie, okay.
And so you know New York history. The Bronx and Brooklyn are similar.
That's
in
right.
In a lot of ways, niggas is grinding. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Niggas is on it. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I'm from the Bronx. He's from Brooklyn. So I will always hear about him, man. And then, well, it's born. Then in 1983, yo, you remember this was like doing it.
Your voice is going out.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this was like during the Christmas holidays when you and I were locked up together.
Right.
C70 in not C70 in the women's house.
That's right.
Because I got out on Christmas. I got on Christmas Eve. And you went up north from there, right?
Yeah. I went back to the Ford building, and then from there I went up north. Yeah.
Right. Went up north from there. I went home. But me and you, we was together in women's house. I used to see you in the gym all the time.
And the women's house, for people that don't know, is on Rikers Island.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. I used to see you in the gym all the time. I see you in child. And we always spoke to each other.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
We always spoke to each other. We never really... I remember one time in the gym, we was in the gym, and we was watching... There was this guy in there. He was nasty on the court.
Okay.
He was with your boys. He had dreads. He was a light-skinned guy. He had dreads. He was nasty on the court. And I think that was the only time you and I said more than what's up to each other.
Okay.
Spoke to each other and said some other words. But, you know, as I said, you know, so you was always someone that I was aware of. Feel me?
Yes.
And that is the premise of how all this started. That is the background, context of how all this started. So
now that's what I wanted to ask you to just do a small recap. Take us to back in 1994. Is that the year when you actually was incarcerated at the time, and you heard from someone, and you don't have to say who said it, but you heard that King TuT was responsible for your cousin being robbed and shot at the Quad Studios. Take us back to that very moment, how you heard it, how you felt, and how you shared that information to TuPac.
Right. Good question. So I had just got transferred. I was in Beacon. Beacon is another jail on Rikers Island. And I had just got transferred from another quad inside Beacon. So they transferred me from one quad to another. And as soon as I got there, I saw a familiar face, someone that I used to do time with all the time. Like every time I was on Rikers Island, he was, you know. And we started talking, we started conversating, and we was basically catching up on old times. And started talking about some of the Brooklyn players that we both knew, you know. And, you know, I would ask about a person, and he'd tell me how that person was doing, and he would ask about someone, and I would tell him how that person. So then TuT's name came up, and he said, "Yeah, TuT. A little bit of backstory. I don't know. Me and you was up north together. We wasn't in the same jail, but we was up north at the same time from 87 or 88 to 90, 91.
Yes.
I went up in 87. I came home in 91.
I went back up in 88.
Yeah, you.
And came back home in 91 too.
Right. Because I had, you know, a guy named Sadiq.
Yes.
Little short Panamanian dude.
Yeah, with the hair. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one to tell me, that told me, yeah, took your shahada. This is back in 1988.
Right. And
okay, so that
I actually took it, and even though he told you in 88, when I took it, it was like 83.
Wow.
Yeah.
He told me you was the imam in the joint you was in.
I was.
See? So just a little context. Okay, so we talking about that kind of shit, right?
Right.
And the guy that's at Rikers Island. And so he tells me, he says, yeah, he gives me some updates on you. One of them was about the incident you had in the barbershop.
Yes.
Right? Told me about that. And then he said, yo, and you know he shot TuPac, right? And I said, what? He didn't know TuPac was my cousin. He didn't know that. Not many people in Rikers Island knew it at the time.
Right.
But he said, TuPac, you know, he shot TuPac. I was like, word? So I didn't say anything else after that. I just got on the horn. And at this time, Pac he's underground.
Okay.
No, he's underground healing from his wound, right?
Okay.
He had left the hospital at this time. Now he's underground healing from his wound. So I called, and that's when I told him, yo, I just found out who shot you. That's how I delivered it. Yo, I just found out who shot you. And that's how that all started.
Okay.
That's how that all started. The context, like I like to paint, because on the surface of it all, people will have misconceptions about how this possibly could have occurred. How this could have possibly happened where I blurt your name to my cousin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I like to add context, man. During that time, you know, Pac is shot. Me, for one, thought there would never be a black man that will harm Tupac. At the time, that's what I thought, that no black man will harm him, because he stood for so much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was more than just a rapper. You know, Pac was an activist.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? He was a revolutionary.
That's
you know?
right.
And I never thought that would happen to him, so I was hurt. I was really hurt. I was upset. I wasn't really angry in a vengeful manner. I was just extremely disappointed. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard your name, it kind of made sense to me at the time, because I knew who you were. I knew where you was from. What I didn't know was that you didn't run with the people, the other Brooklyn cats that was involved with them.
Right.
That's what I didn't know. But see, at the time, that's what I thought. You know, you from Brooklyn, they from Brooklyn. You know, that was my thinking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little bit more context of the reason why I ran with that when homeboy told me that.
May I say this? Because he had said something in the beginning that I want you to speak to. You don't have to talk about it, but that's a very good point that I left out in the very first interview.
Okay.
Was the fact that you had just had an incident in the barbershop.
Right.
That put you on special parole.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why this was just folklore, when I say this, the rumor that you shot Tupac was really folklore based on Tupac's putting you in the music, but it was in fact because the cops knew that he didn't do it because he was on special parole and his alibi checked out. He had to be in the house at 9:00. And that night, when it happened...
They had me under super intense special supervision.
That's why he never got locked up for it.
So it was like they knew where I was at. They called. I had to be in at 9, and I was under special intense supervision because of the situation that was actually similar to Tupac's situation that he had. Yeah, and I was in a barbershop, a public barbershop, with my baby, with my child, and 3 civil assassins, man. They attempted to take my life while in the presence of my baby. And by the grace of God, we got up out of there. And I went to trial. And I was found not guilty on 17 counts. And they were caught with weapons with obliterated serial numbers.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations.
Like Pac. Yeah.
Yes, like Pac.
And may I just say, for the people that are listening that have no idea what civil assassins is, rogue police officers. That's what the incident was. And so now you know how serious that special parole was, and so I forgot when I did the interview and I kicked myself because that right there was like the missing piece right there. Because, all right, you said what you said, but you heard that from hearsay. But y'all know, if this was facts, the cops would have arrested you for that because they already had a hard on for him. They was biting for anything. You understand what I'm saying? And it checked out. He couldn't have done it because he was home with his wife at the time and his family on special parole, and they called, everything checked out, and that's why he was never questioned by the police about it or picked out or went arrested or anything with that situation.
They knew.
Yeah, they knew he didn't do it.
Yeah.
They knew.
But, yeah, but the thing about you at that time, even leading up to this time, 3 decades later, you really paid it no attention.
Yeah, because I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah, but that's what boggled my mind because I was like, everybody is saying it. Why don't you say? But you told me he did say it in a few publications.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
the Source magazine, the Vibe magazine, Don.
Yes, I did. But
you never said it on an interview,
right? Because in the sense they don't give us interviews like that.
Mm-hmm. And why? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I
was just going to say, Matulu.
Right.
So during the time when you was away, Matulu was in federal custody as well.
Yes.
It was a big deal in my family that you and Matulu talked.
Yes.
Or you and Watani.
Yes.
Because when you and Watani talked, he found out about it immediately. Like as soon as he talked, he notified us that he made contact and communication. And at that time, he believed you didn't do it either.
Right.
In fact, he called and said, first of all, Matulu and Watani, they never believed you did it. They thought it was like a conspiracy type of thing. They thought it was like police set that up. I kind of thought that too, but I thought they used you as a proxy. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought. But they never believed you did. They thought the whole time that this was some type of conspiracy. When he talked to you, he notified us, like, that's something else. This is not, you're on the wrong track.
And plus, I was during that time, I had Chaz Williams. I had
a cousin.
I know that. And Chaz had got me to come to a location where he had someone who was present. And I came for identification purposes to see him at the Mirage. And when I came, he was like, because my man had, and I said, all right, Chaz, I'm going to come down because it wasn't me. I said, but I'm going to come down there. So everything, and I went. And I don't know who the person was that was present, but they was like, nah, that's not him. We would have remembered that's not him. He wasn't one of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What year was that around?
This was in 95.
95.
Yes.
Okay. 95. So Pac was still alive then?
Yes.
He was still alive at that time?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Because
it was either late 95 or early 96. Yeah. Yep.
Let me ask you a question. May I ask you a question? Because I'm interested to know this. Before you told Pac who you thought or who you heard did it, who did he think did it? What was his, beliefs about it?
He thought that it was a setup from Big, Puff. And he thought like everybody that was at the studio at that time set him up. He didn't know who the shooter was. You know what I'm saying? He didn't know who the shooter was, but he knew he was set up.
Okay.
And he thought that, Puff, Big, and whoever else, Haitian Jack, Jimmy Henchman, he thought that a variation of that group set him up. Whether it was Haitian Jack and Puff or Puff and Jimmy Henchman, he thought that the setup came from that. He didn't know who the shooter was at the time.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what everybody heard anyway, so I thought it was like something different. But that's kind of like what I had heard back at that time.
Because of the situation that Tupac got caught up in, similar to the one that I got caught up in the barbershop, certain situations, they're not going to let you get away with. And they're going to ride you. they're gonna come after you. And it's not just because, see, they knew people, anybody that knew Pac knew that he was way more than the gangster role that he portrayed on Juice. He was an extremely talented individual. And I felt that his ability to play a role was in such a realistic manner, because those roles, man, when you do roles like that, you have the tendency to also attract a certain mindset and group of people, and they want you to live in that role. They want to keep you in that role. But I know that because of his ideology, and because of the way he was raised and cultivated, and because of his discipline, he understood. But I felt that he felt that it was necessary sometime to go to the people that you're trying to save, looking and acting like them, until you have enough time to enlighten them or wake them up, or find those who are conscious enough to grab on to something that could save them. And I sincerely believe that his intentions was to save, was to heal, was to bring about a change. He wanted to resurrect that. But those people, man, that prefer to live off of the ruins of other human beings, that want to capitalize and monopolize, those people will do anything to get conscientious people out the way. They fear you not because of your guns, but because of your mind, because of your voice, because of your heart, who you are. And because of the fact that at the end of the day, your truth is going to reveal their falsehood.
I'm gonna tell you, everything you said is exactly what Pac thought. As far as, that's why Thug Life was created. Thug Life was created as a way for him to be able to reach out to the people in the street, right? And that was going to be the vehicle that he was going to come in on, Thug Life. Right? Now, when you look at Thug Life, the connotation has this street style connotation to it. He made it into an acronym that meant something positive, but he wanted to reach street people. One thing about Pac that I used to get angry about with him all the time is that he would get around these guys and dumb himself down. Dumb himself down. You know, and he would almost become them. It was like he maintained some of the principles that he was born with, but a lot of it he did. You know, and I bear witness to it. You know what I'm saying? I bear witness to it. Pac assimilated too much with the people that he was trying to save. Because that was his motivation. His motivation was to save his community. My word is born. I mean, it was
I believe that.
Your word is born. Like, coming from a young man like him, to have such a lofty goal as to want to save the people in his community was admirable.
Yep.
It really was. And I was in awe of that. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think, Pac was 22, 21, 22 years old. And this is what he set out to do. But in the process of it, when he got with the people that he wanted to try to help in any way possible, as long as it was positive, he would assimilate with them at the same time. Your analysis of that in your video was dead on point. You said that in your video. Yo, by the way, your video, I mentioned on Art of Dialogue how I came across your video. Dear friend of mine, shout him out, his name is Chet. Shout out to Chet, I'm gonna shout him out. Dear friend of mine, know the situation, know my story, know our story, you know my family. Called me and said, yo, did you see TuT's video? I said, no. You did a video? He said, yeah, it's on YouTube. I said, man, you should watch it. He said, I don't think he did it, but I want you to watch it and check it out for yourself. I said, oh, shit. So I went home, and sure enough, I watched it. When I watched that video, from one person to another who has been blessed with the psychic change that so many of us will never see. The psychic breakthrough. You know what I'm saying? The spiritual breakthrough. You and I were both blessed with that. But more importantly, I recognized it in your interview that you were struck by the spiritual breakthrough, the same one that I was struck by. I was able to resonate and relate. Everything, I felt it here. It wasn't here. It was here. It was in my heart. It was a spiritual connection that was made from your video. I hadn't seen you. I hadn't talked to you. Well, no, I hadn't talked to you at that time. So I hadn't seen you or talked to you. It was just the connection that you made in that video of how you expressed yourself in there. And I was like, after I watched that video, I was convinced completely. And like I was saying, it wasn't a mental connection. No, it wasn't mental. It was spiritual, completely spiritual. And I believed everything he said. I believed it. I believe the compassion that he had in his heart. I believe the recollection of events that occurred as far as where he was at, where his mindset was, when it came to Tupac. I believed it all. So, like I said, I'm on a spiritual journey myself. You know? And what I have learned during my journey is that when you wrong someone by your slander or your tongue, and you say something out of your mouth that's wrong about someone, in other words, if you put a jacket on someone that doesn't fit them, then you have to make that shit right. So I had no problems about coming on. I wanted to come on your platform and do it personally. But I had no problem with apologizing. That's the right thing to do. And check this out. Now that we're talking about apology, if most of the people who are dead today, I'm talking about particularly young black men in our community.
That's right.
If they had the wisdom to apologize, they probably would still be alive. You know what I'm saying? An apology can heal. It has the power to heal all wounds. You know, but more importantly, the action behind the apology is even stronger. So that's why I wanted to take the action of going public with the apology that I made on the Art of Dialogue. Now, I think I did a good job as far as apologizing. You know, I gave the reasons why I apologized. I had no issues with people who disagreed with my apology. No issues whatsoever. I read the comments, you know, and there was a lot of people who was upset with the reason why I apologized. But, you know, my thinking with that is that people who were upset about it, I don't blame them, number one. I don't have nothing against them. I don't blame them. And I kind of understand why they're upset. The only thing I disagree with is that they haven't been on the same journey that I have been.
That's right.
Why do you think they were upset? Because I didn't understand that myself. So give me a...
I don't know why.
Oh, I thought you understood it. Because I was like, what?
I think
I understand. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead, bro.
To answer your question, because I did say I understand. I understand. I don't understand how I'll put this. Because what I do understand is that there are some people who are not ready to accept certain things. You know? So my apology. Some people are not ready to accept that. That's as far as I'll go with that. Because I don't want to predict any reason why anybody will be angry.
Well, it's the same reason why after the interview aired that I did with my husband, I would read through the comments, and the interview is now at 280,000. So 280,000 people viewed the interview, and 85% of the comments were positive. But when I would look through the interview, I was like, how could you, after hearing this man literally give him a tribute, because it was more than just an interview proclaiming his innocence, he literally gave your family a tribute and a small history lesson. It was a black history lesson in that interview. How could, after hearing my husband express his love for TuPac's family, for you guys' family, what you contributed to our race, how could you still say, and he explained why TuPac was a no-no because of that, because of his lineage. He gave him a pass because, you know, if you just turning on this channel and never heard of King TuT, this man is infamous for a lot of bad shit. I mean, let's just be realistic. The person that you see before you today wasn't the person 3 decades ago. You know what I mean? So he stood on that though. He was never like, he's had beef with, I mean, other bad guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we just sat here and said that, you know, Tupac, legendary rapper, just the greatest mind of our generation, I want to say. Poet, just revolutionaries, but he wasn't a gangster in real life. He played a gangster. Like, but what I'm saying, I'm leading to a point right here. Why would you be scared to say you did something to him? So for you to make this glowing tribute, pour your heart out, I got you to do it because you really didn't want to do it in the first place. But you was like, you know what? I am going to speak for myself. I'm finally going to say, you know, how I felt about this whole situation. And so for me to read those comments, because I was pissed off, and there's ignorant people still saying, oh, he lying. Oh, and I'm like, why would he lie? You understand what I'm saying? Why? You can feel sincerity.
But some people who are unlearned and who really don't understand the nature of a man. Mm-hmm. You know, some people look at there's a saying. Mm-hmm. If you rob, you steal. If you steal, you kill. So some people feel that if you are a criminal,
I get it,
you're a liar.
Yeah, I get that part.
Some people just want you to be like the person that did it.
They just want you to.
They don't want nobody else to wear the jacket.
Some people are just so ignorant, and you know how I feel about the commenters, because I have to understand that people are coming from so many different walks of life on this internet,
right?
Especially on this search engine, because this is not a social media app; it's a search engine, and so there's people that have these opinions that are ignorant to a fact. That's why I always try to explain who you are, what you was. So this way they're not just going by different videos that they saw about you.
Right.
Now you're here. You know what I mean? The man, the myth, the legend. You can speak for yourself. You're not saying you was a good guy. You done gave your story, part 1 through 4. You have so much that you left out because you do want to, you know, see it on screen. You know, we want to do the movies, the documentary, all that stuff. But you are the most sincere person that I have ever met in my life. You understand what I'm saying? You do not lie. So when people say you're lying, it burns me up because you keep it a buck. It is what it is with you. So I just try to ignore these comments.
But one of the things I wanted to say was that when it came to Tupac Shakur, no, he was not a gangster, but he was a revolutionary.
Absolutely.
And a revolutionary is 10 times worse than a gangster. Tupac Shakur loved black people. He put his life on the line for black people. He tried to save black people.
And that's what you
And thank
respect.
God he wasn't like us guys who was on the gangster thing. Because if Tupac had self-hate instead of self-love, like us guys that was in the street, we went out our way to harm ourselves because we was unsatisfied with who we were. And that dissatisfaction caused us to dislike us and anything that looked like us or anything that represented or resembled us. He had a love for that. And thank God he did, because if it was reversed and he seen the people that he loved as being the enemy, he would have pursued them in the most vicious manner. In the most vicious manner. You know, and that's why I always told guys that, see, my first love for the streets, like, I was in love with the revolution first.
Yeah, you
And the
expressed that in the
yeah,
interview.
you know, I came up biblically.
You wanted to be a Panther.
Yes. So wanting to be that, I knew that Panthers, they didn't give a damn about no gangster. If you a threat to the community, if you a threat to anything that's happening that's for the progress to our people, your ass getting checked. And they were those men and women who were man enough and woman enough to put the gangster in check. They were what most of us guys that was gangsters wanted to be. A lot of the guys that are the biggest gangsters out in the street couldn't become a Panther because they didn't have discipline. And they didn't have self-love and self-worth. And they wasn't willing to put the people first. They had greed. They had larceny. A lot of that stuff they had to go first before they could get on board with the revolution. And because they wasn't revolution ready, they couldn't be revolutionaries. And that's just how it was. So
You would have been a great Panther.
Man,
If you wouldn't have went the opposite direction.
man, I tell
Right?
you. Yo,
I feel it. Like, I feel your spirit. And
that shit
your
was well said,
conviction.
man.
'cause
What?
that was my first love.
Yeah, that
Because
was well said. I hope
Yeah.
the people heard what you just said. Because basically you gave a history lesson that's not in the history books on how the Panthers operate, how revolutionaries operate, and the difference between revolutionaries and gangsters. That was 100% accurate. In fact, I said the same thing in another interview that I did that's upcoming.
okay.
But I said the same thing. And and mind you, I'm saying this from actually, because I actually witnessed this. So remember, my aunts and uncles were revolutionary.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying? I seen how they treated street people as opposed to other revolutionaries. And you're
That's
right.
right.
Street people weren't disciplined. The gangsters weren't disciplined enough to be revolutionary. You had to be educated. You had to understand politics. You had to understand your community, your society. You had to understand economics. You had to understand who the oppressor is. If you think that another black man is your oppressor and don't want to learn differently, then of course you couldn't be a revolutionary. So what you just said, and that was the reason why I was so connected to what you said in your interview. Look, man, only a person, what you said in that interview comes out of the mind of a person who did work on themselves. That don't come from just some motherfucker that just woke up and by osmosis. What you said came from a person who did work on themselves, understood what their position was in this whole entire story, while none of us did. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it was so important for you and your wife to conduct that interview. And that was reason why I knew I was completely mistaken. I was completely mistaken. Well, like I said
And I thank her for getting me to do it.
yeah.
Yeah, because she pushed
You know
me.
what? And another thing, like your wife asked you tough questions, man.
Yes, she does.
She didn't ask you fluffy questions
No.
to make you feel safe. She asked you questions that will make a guilty person agitated.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? Let me just say that in the questioning process, I never write anything down. It's off the top of my head, and we never have any sort of pre-game run. We don't conversate about what we're going to say. So he had no idea the questions I was going to ask. I had no idea he was going to go into that like lovely history lesson. I was shocked. But because as he was saying what he was saying, our editor, I gotta shout him out, Official Burn.
Shout out
that because he got all those pictures and he put the story together visually. You understand what I'm saying? So we make a great team because he didn't know the questions, I didn't know the answers, and once we just gave it to Official Burn, he put it together. It was a masterpiece, and it was a love offering. It was a love offering to you and your family and all the fans of Tupac Shakur.
That's right.
That's how I took it. That's how I received it. I urge people to, whoever hadn't seen that video, that's watching this video now, I urge you to go watch that video. I can't remember the exact title of it.
Well, I can.
Yeah, please.
I can remember the title. If you just scroll through our channel, but it'll come up. King TuT comes clean about the Tupac Shakur incident, and of course, people was running in because they thought it was going to be something negative. But you know, that's the little clickbait. How to call it? That's the clickbait. That's the click. You know, I'm a producer. I always keep my producer hat on.
I'm already knowing.
Listen, remember you mentioned that earlier. You said it couldn't have been done elsewhere, and it couldn't have. Nobody else could have gave him that interview, and he wouldn't have opened up like that to anyone else, you know, because he almost showed his vulnerability. You know what I mean? At one point, I thought he was about to cry. Like, he was really vulnerable in that video. You know what I mean? And I bring that out of him. And if you haven't seen any of his videos, I encourage anybody watching this one to go through our content because he does his life story, part 1 through 4. Did you check that out, Bill?
I watched all 4 of them.
What did you think?
I'm a fan. So I watched all 4 of them. There was a lot in his story that I can't say I already knew, but I can relate to. Because I can relate to the time, I can relate to the era, I can relate to all that. But I liked what he said when he talked about robbing his mom's church. He talked about how the church members came to him, they came to court for you. And they said that they were asked the judge not to send you to jail if you would tell on your co-defendants or abandon your co-defendants.
Abandon
like
them.
That.
Yeah, they said if they'll let me go.
They'll let you go. The church members said that. And you told them no, you wasn't going to do that. And see, and that was another confirmation for me. Like when you kept saying in your first interview, I stand on this. I stand on this, right? When I seen that interview, I think it was part 2 or part 3, where you talked about the church incident.
Right.
I saw that you stood on principle even back then. This is the 80s. This is the early fucking 80s, man. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, real recognize real. That's the only way I can say it. He came up in an era, man, that is non-existent. You know what I'm saying? The era of where we came up at, we don't see any remnants of that unless we see it in people like me and you who have overcame the challenges, the trial, the tribulation, the trauma, you know, all that stuff, the jail time, the prisons. Man, we overcame that. Man, damn, it's miraculous. And then, like you said in the beginning when we first started this interview, you don't even go to New York anymore because a lot of the people, the players, they still players. You know what I'm saying?
They still playing games.
Meaning, yo, when I go back to New York, I see some of my old partners. They got that grind. They got the scurvy look on it, like their skin is dull. They don't have no luster. They look like they still in the grind, you know.
Yes.
And I be like, damn, they probably don't have a girlfriend, a wife.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't have a job. The kids don't like them. You know, I mean, damn. My life is totally different from that, man. Because it's only by the grace of God, man. Because I was right there with him.
That's right.
True. Facts. My word is bond. That's my word is bond.
William, I want to thank you so much.
We can do another 30 minutes if you want to.
Okay, well, you be sure.
Because
you know what I want to say, though? It hurted me when I seen that people were upset about you coming clean about making a mistake. Because if a person mistakenly think that someone did something, but then they come to find out that the person that they thought did it was the wrong person, it's only right that they rectify that manner. But it shows you how far behind we still are and how disconnected so many of our people are, and that a lot of people prefer a lie that make them feel good than the truth that's gonna cut them like a knife. I learned to love the truth no matter how much it hurts, no matter how bad it make me look. The truth is the truth, and that's what it is. And bro, I thank you, brother, for being the truth, man.
Man, I thank you for being the truth, man. Yo, like I said on Art, I want to be your friend, man. I think
Bro,
that
we
there's
are
some
friends.
things that we can do. There's some people that we can reach. I think what we're doing is a testament, man, to our love for ourselves, for
That's
each
right.
other, and for our people.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And I want to keep this train moving, man. Word
I
is
would
bond.
love to.
Man, word is bond. When I come to New York, man, we're going to hook up.
We
gonna
gonna get
lunch.
together. That's
my
right.
wife, meet my wife, you and your wife, and
Okay.
we're going to have a blast.
Let's do that,
Yes,
bro.
we
And
are.
we're going to give the people in the comments something to talk about. Because we're going to take flicks.
That's
We're
right.
gonna post it. We're
That's
going to
right.
do videos. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
That's
Word is
right.
bond.
You know I'm with all that.
That's
You
right.
know, I can't wait, man. As soon as I come to New York, I'm hitting you up.
See, we learn to understand the true meaning of life
Yeah,
through trial and error.
yeah, man.
Yeah, bro.
Look at you, man. Look at, man. I love what happened. I love what you're doing, man.
Thank you, bro.
I love what you representing, man. You love your wife, man.
Yes.
You love your wife, man. Just like I love my wife, man. My wife is my everything, man.
That's right.
I do it. Whatever she tells me to do, I do.
It's done.
She was with me when she stayed with me, man. She
That's
gave
right.
me everything I had. My wife gave me everything I had. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
beautiful.
And that's a huge blessing for us, man. This wasn't supposed to be
That's right.
how it was supposed to end for us, man. You was doing 5 life sentences.
That's right.
The compassion of your judge, the compassion of that judge, man, cannot be understated.
It can't.
You can't.
It can't. And I want to give a big up and a whole lot of respect to the Honorable Judge Frederick Block.
Word is
Of course, he
bond.
didn't have to undo that. You
Big
know?
up to him. He had
Big
a
up to
spiritual
him.
breakthrough.
I wanna also-
breakthrough.
Give a big up to my attorney, Mia, because, Mia Eisler Ginsburg, she's an excellent lawyer. I want to
fought for you.
She fought for me, and she brought that thing all the way through. I want to big up Justin Bonus, who was another attorney that fought for me. Kevin Keaton, who was another attorney who fought for me. Kenneth Montgomery, who was another attorney who fought for me. Also, Derek Hamilton Bush, big up to him. Another excellent attorney. Even though he might not have passed that bar, he's an attorney. Yeah, them guys, they came, they really did it, man.
That's
And
fucking amazing.
I thank God, man, the creator, because I know that I have a purpose now. And it took for me to go through what I went through. And to, to understand the hardship and the pain. Because, yo, bro, when you out in them streets, although you might be strong to you, you cold and you callous. The strong is the ones who serve. They don't dominate. They don't demean. They don't violate.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the guys that are the violators, they broken people.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to heal, bro. And I know my purpose today.
Well
I'm
said, my
living in
dear
it.
brother. Well said, my dear brother. There was one word you left out. Cold and callous and coward.
And cowardly.
I didn't realize how scared to death I was.
Yes.
All my life.
Me too.
Fear, man.
That's
Hey,
right.
Brother Tuck, what you said was everything, man, because I didn't realize until 4 years ago how afraid I was,
That's right.
how fearful I was. And like, even though I thought I was a man, I thought that I had courage, and I realized I was a coward, man. I was a scared to death coward because I was scared to achieve. I was scared to try something different.
That's
I
right.
was afraid of what people thought of me. I was scared of what I might say to certain people, And everything you just said, I relate to because I went through that same metamorphosis,
And
Word.
I always, and it's weird because it's hard to admit that, yo, all this time, I thought that I was being a man, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's not too late. It's not too late.
That's so powerful, man. Yo, someone told me I was a 19-year-old boy in a 57-year-old man's body.
Wow.
That was
Currently?
that was 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
My spiritual breakthrough happened I was still ignorant at 57.
Mm.
My spiritual breakthrough happened 4 years ago.
Mm.
Psychiatrist told me,
Wow.
you're a 19-year-old boy in a 57-year-old man's body. And I was so humiliated because of my station in life at the time that I believed him. I was like, he's got to be telling the truth. Because look at me. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Is that about the time you met your wife?
No, I've been with my wife for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
That's why I say my wife gave me everything I have.
Okay.
And my wife put up with me at my worst, man. Doing my worst, my wife put up with me. There were some good moments in our relationship, but for the most part, I was a fuck up. I was a complete loser. And I'm very forthcoming with my story because I want my story to touch others. Just like you do, Tut. That's why you are forthcoming with your story in hopes that it touch others. That's why we resonate. That's why we're connected spiritually.
True.
Because I know where you're coming from. I knew you in 1983. I knew you when you was King TuT. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I see where you at now. I can relate to that because I had the same journey. I was still going back and forth to jail. Last time I've been in jail was 10 years ago. I missed the trip. I was supposed to go to Dubai with my wife. She bought my ticket to go to Dubai. And instead, I was too scared to go. So I went out and threw a brick and went to jail. She ended up going by herself. My word is born. It's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the truth.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I'm very forthcoming about my shit, man. I stand on my shit. I own my shit.
It's never too late, though. So thank God you finally arrived.
It's never too late. And my story may not be for everyone, But there are people out there who experience the same trauma, the same type of emotional setbacks, and that's who my story is.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. That's right.
It sounds very interesting. I might want to interview you.
Of course, like I always told, I'm always available. Like I support you. I support you and your wife, whatever you're doing.
Thank you.
I support it. So whatever I can do.
We're the little engine that could.
Man, I support it. I like what you're doing, man. I like that you guys are creating your own content.
And our own lane.
Your own name, your logo, your brand. You guys
and
are
our
creating
lane.
a brand.
I said lane. Because there's so many people on the same lane.
Right.
You skip from channel to channel. They're all talking about the same thing, but none of them could duplicate what we're talking about. And I'm very proud about that because I love the fact that this is my husband's show. Make no mistakes about it. I am his trusty sidekick. And I'm happy that he has a platform to just be positive. You know what I mean? He keeps me positive because I'm telling you, I'll be ready to go. I'm on go.
Yeah.
Because I'm very protective over him, you know, but he I have a metamorphosis that I'm going through, a metamorphosis that I'm still currently going through every day. I'm like this butterfly. I'm like this butterfly. My wings are spreading, and it's all because of this man and the good influence that he has over me. You know what I mean? Because he has influence over me, so it could be bad or good. Thank God it's good.
So cool.
It would be terrible if it was bad.
So
you know
cool.
what I mean? So
and I can see it in your interaction, like the way you two interact with each other. I can see that is real.
Yes.
It's something that has been cultivated. It took years to cultivate this relationship that you and he have now. Similar to me and my wife. We've been together 25 years. Now I am completely accepting of her role in my life, her protection over me, her love for me. At the same time, her being exactly who she is.
That's
not
right.
wanting her to change for nobody.
That's right.
Be who you are.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? And I accept it, and I love her for it, man. You know, and it took me a long time to learn that, man.
So you used to fight against it? You was resentful?
Very resentful. That was one of my biggest problems. I was extremely resentful, not only of my wife, but I was resentful of everything around me.
Do you think that your life would have been differently if your cousin would have survived?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, no. Because I was completely stubborn. My cousin and I used to fight a lot. Not fight a lot, but we were nemesis.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We were close. We was extremely close, right? Extreme. I was like his big brother. You know what I'm saying? But I was stubborn. Think about it. I was a dope fiend, alcoholic addict. He was a talented, creative, artistic genius. You know what I'm saying?
Yet he loved you enough to have you in the fold because you spoke that you used to be with him every day.
Yeah, of course. That was the thing. Like, you're right. That's why we were very, very tight. But I wasn't ready. I was still immature.
That's real.
I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? It was overwhelming to me in a lot of ways. But see, the thing is that the bondage of self will make you think that you're ready. I was delusional. I thought that I was ready, but realistically, I wasn't.
Yeah. I think he would be so proud of you now.
Yo, you guys, when we get together, I'm gonna disclose some real life shit to y'all.
Okay.
I'm not gonna disclose now.
All right.
Okay.
But to your point, he would be completely proud because it's only by the only way I can explain it is that it's only by the grace of God. God saw grace in me, man. I don't know why, I don't know why. I can't figure it out. But maybe I'm not supposed to figure it out.
That's right.
Maybe I'm just supposed to just live in his glory.
That's right.
You know?
And they say that's what grace is. Being given something that you don't even deserve.
Say that, bro.
But God knows why.
Ooh.
The Creator knows why.
Say that, man.
Yeah, bro.
This is a spiritual connection, man. And I only pray that people understand what that means. What the significance of that means.
That's right.
Because, you know, what we living in now is, we living in an algorithm now.
That's right.
Where negativity rules our senses. It
That's
rules
right.
our judgment. It rules our thinking. It clouds our decision making. It clouds our actions, our behaviors. And what you and I are talking about is outside the normal algorithm.
That's right.
Exactly.
But that's why I'm saying to the top of my lungs, this is a spiritual connection. And if I pray that people can understand it or at least see a glimpse of what that means.
I pray too. I pray too,
man. I pray. I don't vilify them because I was there.
That's right.
I know what that thinking is.
That's right.
That's stinking thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what that is so well. You know?
Well, I just hope that the people that view this, they receive it in the spirit that it was intended. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I check those comments, I want to see some love, some hearts, you know, some salutes, some right on, revolutionary fists. Like, let's come back to that. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize that Pop live on through all of us. Those that, if you love someone, if you love their philosophy on life, if you love the way they made you feel, you show that love by continuing to live in accordance to whatever it was they was delivering.
That's right.
You know, take all the good and use it, you know, to better your life and the lives of other people. You know, don't be afraid. And a lot of people are still afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to say, he was my hero, but now my hero's gone. I'm going to sit down. Nah. Your hero was letting you know that you a hero too. Now you got to go out there and be somebody else's hero. And that person going to make more heroes because we all are one. We a single mechanism, man. We a single organism at the end of the day. But the only way it's going to work is when we start working together.
Say that.
The division is not good. That's why we gotta, we gotta stay with our blood type.
That's
people
right.
who look at life the way we look at life.
That's
the
right.
people that want to do something with their lives. The people that enjoy being in the presence of the people they love and care for. And the people that even care for people that they don't even know.
Exactly.
I ain't got to know you for you to be my brother or my sister. You know what I'm saying? If you got the same mindset and heart condition, we that. You know?
Right.
Yup.
My baby means this. Let me tell you something. Today, I don't know what it was like a little signal. I don't know what. But 2 times in 2 different places, 2 little elderly white lady jackets fell off out of nowhere. I don't know what that was about. But my baby, he's just so, because I'm seeing that once I was like, babe, her jacket dropped. And he went and picked it up and put it on her shoulder. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Then another place, I was like, babe, look at that jacket. It's another lady's jacket. And he went and gave it to her. But that's the type of guy he is. He's a gentleman. You know what I mean? And I believe it's from his good upbringing because although he was raised in a hood, if you watched his life story, it was a duality. Because that spiritual upbringing that his mother gave him is why he's sitting here today with this positivity. That came from his mother's spirit. And that militancy that he's always had, why they called him the general, even when he was out there doing bad, when he should have been doing good, that came from his father, because his father fought for this country in 2 different wars. You know what I'm saying? So he has a duality, but the good has now come front and center. And when I tell you this man is such an angel and a blessing, I could just go on and on. I really
I believe
do.
it.
I'm impressed with him because I be looking at him like, yo,
Now that's grace. That's grace.
No, but
I got something I don't deserve.
listen, I be listening to him and looking at him in wonderment, like, yo, he's serious about this. Because, I get to see that this is genuine. And that's why I'm impressed with him.
I don't belong here right now. Even though I belong here, according to man, laws, and rules,
That's right.
I'm supposed to still be in prison, dying every single day.
I know that's right.
But I'm here.
And he's grateful.
I'm grateful.
He's grateful.
I'm really, really grateful.
I'm so happy for y'all, man. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for y'all relationship. I'm gonna tell you, man. You guys are a great example of what Black love is, and what conquering obstacles and what personal development and transformation is. Coco, I know for sure you have written your life story, and you have told of your past. And look at your transformation now.
That's right.
That's right.
Tales of an Original Bad Girl by Mack Mama. That was my first book, and it was my transformational story of things that I overcame. And I'm here, 15 years later. I wrote that book 15 years ago, and I got other books. I'll promote them on another show. But since you spoke of that, I would speak on that, is that 15 years later, I'm still here to talk about it. And God has placed somebody in my life to keep me on that positive journey. Because it's not always easy, okay? Like, that's why I can relate to you, because I love how forthright you are in just saying, you standing on what you were and now who you are now. You're not fronting about it. You're not trying to act like you're somebody you're not. And I respect that so much. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
I really do. I salute you.
That's right, bro.
I salute you. I salute you in the same way. I salute both of y'all in the same way.
Thank you.
We're like kindred spirits, man.
That's
and
right.
What's important is that we are the light that shines for other people to see. See, people got to know that this shit is possible.
That's right.
That's right.
That transformation, there's people out there that's suffering, man.
Yeah.
They're suffering with this bondage of self. They have to know that there's a solution, that there's a way out of it, that there's hope, man. And we represent that shit. That's what's most important about everything that we're discussing. What's important is that we all have this thing in common, where we lived through our torment. We were worthy of our suffering.
That's right.
And that was the way we overcame it.
That's right. That's right.
And people got to see that that's possible.
That's right.
That's right.
That's why
I want to say this before I forget. I'm so sorry, but I just want to say this before we end and I forget. I am truly amazed at how your cousin, Tupac Shakur's legacy is still alive 30 years later. That right there shows you that that man was a prophet on earth. That we was all, anybody that was privy to his music, to being in his presence, seeing the movies, and we can still hear him to this day. That's what legacies are made of. And his legacy is going to always be strong and be saluted. And I'm grateful just to know you. That's because I know I could be privy to some real intimate Tupac stories. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The one thing I share about what you said is this. When Pac was alive, he knew that he would have this type of impact when he died.
Wow.
He knew that he was going to be a legend. He knew it. He used to tell us all the time. Like almost. He knew that we knew that he was special, but not to the extent that he knew how much of a legend he was going to be. He knew he was going to be on the tip of almost everybody's tongue 30 years later. My word is born. He used to tell us this all the time.
I believe that.
Yo, we
Did
were
he
so
feel like he was going to pass away young?
Yes.
He felt
He
that.
knew it. He predicted it. Yo, in one of his songs, he got a song called Guess Who's Back. He got a song called Guess Who. Well, in a lot of his songs, he predicted that he'd be dead by the time he was 25.
Wow.
He predicted that he would be dead by Tupac. To me, yo, I used to watch when I was in his presence. It was like sometimes I was in awe of him. Now you got to think about this. I'm his oldest cousin, and we were real tight. Like he used to want to follow me around when he was young. He used to want me to take him hustling. He used to come looking for me in Midtown. All my Midtown partners knew him because he'd come looking for me while he's going to the studio and shit, you know? So, but I used to be in awe of him because he was so far ahead of all of us. He was so far ahead. He was a visionary, and we was too far behind. We was too far behind. My only thing about Pop that I wish he would have never did was try to assimilate with people that he was in front of. He was in front of these people, but he would assimilate with them as if he was on their level.
That's right.
And he wasn't. I'm telling you, man, Pac came with his challenges now. Fucking with him came with challenges. But I'm here to tell you, that boy was a visionary. He was brilliant. He was way too intelligent than anybody around him. You could not beat him in an argument. He was very polemic, very debatable. He had debate on any issue and win. He would persuade you from abandoning your position in a debate to go into his position. That's how persuasive he was. But his mother, and let me say this.
That's that dialectics.
If you think he was something, his mother was, he's nothing compared to his mother. And my word is born.
Oh, I know.
His mother, he's nothing compared to his mother. His mother, shit. His mother and my mother, like his mother and my mother are sisters.
Okay,
They're both the most brilliant women I ever known in my life. His mother and my mother.
Is your mom still here?
Yeah, thank God. Her birthday, she's celebrating her birthday, her 80th birthday on May 4th. God bless her.
That's great.
Bless.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is she older than Miss Afeni?
Yeah, she was 2 years older than her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're two of the most brilliant women I ever knew. They was just total opposites. My mom is a nourisher, and Afeni is Afeni is a beast. When we get together, dude, we're gonna have fun, man. We're gonna have fun, man, because I was blessed to come from a family, man, of people who had principle, who loved black people. They really loved all people, but they were willing to die for black people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I came up in that type of environment, and I was blessed. Strong people, man.
Listen, let's end the night with a moment of silence for Tupac and his mom and all our ancestors that was strong, Matula, and our ancestors that was strong black leaders, because we had a lot of them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
we lost a lot.
We lost a lot of.
But they left us with something. That's why a lot of people
gotta get it back. We got to get it back.
Those books that we thrown away, them tales that old timers got to tell, don't discard those old people, them old elderly people.
Well, especially now that they're really trying to erase our history.
Figure out ways to sit down with them.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
The African storytellers.
That's right.
And pass on these stories in our generation, because they're trying to, that's a whole nother show.
Yes.
They're trying to, it's gone. It's like if we don't stand on what we were taught, these principles and morals that we have, in the year 2030, it's out of here. And that's only 5 years from now. That's how fast technology is moving. AIs is going to be telling us that we didn't exist. Okay?
That's right.
But I don't want to go on a tangent. I just do want to have a moment of silence for our ancestors, Tupac, his mom, Matula, your ancestors, everybody, so many people that we lost, the strong freedom fighters, the whole Black Panther Party. I just want us to always remember them, and know that we are the living embodiment of our ancestors, and we have to carry on.
Amen.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah, and I just want to say we worthy. You know, there are people who sacrificed for us, who fought for us, who died for us. When you got someone who go all the way out to put their life on the line for you,
That's right.
they doing it because there's something in you that they're protecting, and they need you to live so that you can continue to manifest that. It's our time.
It's our time.
And and you know what? Thank God to the media now. Brother, we got a story to tell. We got things to do. Yeah.
We got work to do, my dear
got
brother.
And we have this outlet. We have the outlet now. We didn't have, they can't shut our voices down.
Nah,
That's the
man.
thing. They make us burn those books and tell us that things didn't happen, but we can still speak to the world now.
That's right.
We in a different world. Everything is different today. And you're right. We have this platform now where we can tell our stories. We can speak our truth.
That's right.
And we can reach people, man, like
and
never
I encourage
before.
you to start a platform, William.
Well, I'm working on it. Trust me.
Bro.
I'm working on it in the correct way because I don't want to be a part of the algorithm that's out there. I got it. When I release my brand, launch my brand, you're gonna know. You'll know. Trust and believe.
All
Trust
right.
and believe. You'll know.
And I left somebody out when I was speaking about all the lawyers and the people that aided and assisted me and people that I reached out. I want to also give a big shout out to Kim Kardashian.
Oh, no way.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
She gave him a shout out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's a nice. I like her. She's an activist at heart.
Yes.
She's an activist. She got an activism heart. You know.
Revolutionary.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
That's
her.
right.
Man.
She about her business.
Respect.
That's right.
Like wife.
Respect. Yo, before I leave,
right.
I want to give us a couple of shout outs, man. I want to shout out my man Chair.
Okay.
Chair was the first one to inform me of your interview. He was the first one to encourage me to watch it. So I want to shout him out.
I want to give him a salute.
I want to shout out my man Money, my man Cool.
Okay.
All my people out here in Atlanta, all my people in New York. But most importantly, I want to shout out all my loved ones that we lost, all the great, like you said, the great revolutionaries who fought in our cause, the great activists, the great people who were examples for us.
That's right.
Who walked tall and stood strong and said what they had to say without fear of repercussion or anything.
That's right.
You know? I want to shout them out too.
And I want to shout your wife out.
Oh, thank you.
Salute to your wife.
Yo, y'all gonna meet my wife, man.
Okay.
When we come to New York. She's in a bed sleep now, but she know about this situation.
That's right.
When we come to New York, I envision us having us a nice night out.
Yes,
that's right.
With our wives and enjoying life, man.
I look forward to that.
We still here, that we survived it. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much for giving us this time, brother.
Absolutely.
And we will. This is the first of many.
Yeah, the first of many, and it was an absolute pleasure. No,
stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Because we got work to do.
No, absolutely, man. You know, we've been staying in touch periodically anyway.
That's right.
But,
that's right.
You're right. We got work to do. We got action to take. We got to take action.
Ebo.